Okay, hopefully this works. That's kind of weird because it seemed to be okay here. And maybe that's why people were bouncing out. So that was kind of bizarre. Well, I may have to call it a wrap early. Hey, Mimi! I figured I'd give it a try because my screen was fine. That's kind of tech gremlins, I tell ya. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and hopefully it'll let me stay on this time. Yeah, see, usually ours is good, and I know when I've done it before, it it managed to work. And we've had Rogers here 3 times in about as many months and had our modem replaced, and it's like, oy vey, which actually made me laugh while I was watching a video last night about the Voyager satellites, and it's been 45 years. Geez, that makes me feel old some days. But it's been 45 years that they're like way out now past the solar system. The fascinating thing is they're still sending information back that the radio telescopes are picking up. So that communication they can keep going, but Wi-Fi, good luck with that sometimes. It doesn't keep going on a regular basis. Hey, JP. I know. See, the gremlins, it isn't just you. Some of your comments they munch up. That's my live stream because we didn't have this problem before. So I'm not sure what happened. Yeah, see? So many mysteries, right? They can keep equipment going on Mars, which I'll be honest, I find beyond baffling. And I'm not saying conspiracies or stuff. That's I like reading conspiracy theories, but only because it fascinates me how some people can believe some of that stuff. But what I do find, and it could be, that I'm not one of the Mensa people, but how are they keeping these machines going when you think of, and they're on terrain that no one's ever been on before, and yet these things don't get stuck, right? They're still moving, they haven't fallen over a cliff, they're not stuck on a rock, and yet you watch people and kids with their little remote control vehicles, and how many times do they have to go and pick them up to keep them going again? And yet here we have these massive pieces of equipment on a planet no one's ever been to. And that's another topic I'll be covering next year is, well, I've read the book by Graham Hancock, The Mars Mystery, and then I have my astronomy book. So I find it quite fascinating. And the moon landing, yeah. There's a lot of different theories. I mean, I think they went there. I know there's different images. So it's not that I don't think they went. What I'm curious about is what did they find? Like what do they know about the moon that maybe we don't all know? And there's again a lot of different ideas and theories. There's the Stargate Oh, I'm not surprised that a wheel would be jammed. I mean, I still find it mind-boggling that it's still up and on the move. But yeah, like with the Stargate program, and you're asking about psychics, Mimi. There's Ingo Swann, who I don't know much of, and I just came across him because of reading George Newry and Lynn McTaggart. But he's apparently well known, and he was tested by the American government and used in this remote viewing program where he supposedly had seen something on the moon and they had seen him. So I don't know. There's just so many things there. And there was another video I caught last night. Is it Beyond? It's a a YouTube channel I came across. I think it's called Beyond Belief. I'll have to double check, and if I remember, I'll put it in the comments below here. And it was talking about the asteroid that I'll probably say wrong. U Umama? I know it's a Hawaiian word, and JP. Yeah, Occam's razor. But this asteroid isn't like anything they've ever seen before. It's uh it's long and flat. It didn't follow, a trajectory or anything else like they expected. And I'll have to watch the front of the video again because they weren't expecting it to come back, and I think it's already returned. Because I remember when they first saw it, and it may have been a woman I'd seen on a TED Talk about astronomy and new discoveries and things. And they were all in a kerfuffle and a fluster because they detected this object, but they knew that they were only going to have a very small window to study it. And a number of countries got together, and they all got their act together for the common good and for the discovery. And this video that I watched last night, and haven't heard of him. I've heard of Neil deGrasse Tyson and, of course, Carl Sagan. This gentleman's name is Brian Cox, and he's supposed to be quite up there in the community. And he was proposing that it may be some type of vehicle from another civilization and just here to gather information and decide whether they want to contact us or not. And he's got a lot of different theories. And of course, that brought up the whole, the media has lately been coming out with stuff about the UAPs, used to be called UFOs. Not sure why they had to change the term. And that, spins off to make me wonder how archaeologists can make sense of so many things because our terminology changes so quickly. And the archaeologists are trying to figure out stuff about civilizations where you don't have someone you can ask. You're just kind of taking a guess based on different rock carvings and what little bit you can find, you know, eons after the community is gone. So yeah, I don't know. There's so many different questions and things out there for sure. We there's so much we don't know. I mean, we've come a long way. But, I'll be honest, I really think the ancients had more of an idea because they were in touch with nature and living with nature and paying attention to the cycles of the earth because they had to for survival, right? You didn't have Walmart that was open 24/7 or Amazon who would ship the next day. You had to find your food and prepare your food. And be prepared for the weather and all of that type of thing. So I think partly with our civilization, we've really lost touch with paying attention to, Mimi, like you said, with the moon. And we'd certainly have a better understanding of how does that impact people and so many other things. And yeah, it's just there's, now like growing up, it was called the universe. Now, here we are in 2023, and different dimensions are no longer the realm of science fiction. They're considered science fact. They don't know in terms of parallel universes or how all of that works or what the universe is expanding into, whether it'll just keep expanding and collapse. There's just, even the moons. When I was watching the program about Voyager 1 and 2, I remember in high school I could tell you all the planets, the number of moons they had. Now, I think they said with Jupiter, there's something like 52 or 53 named moons. I'm like, holy crap. I'm pretty sure it was under 20 way back when I, had that stuff at my fingertips and in my memory. So it's, amazing how much even that's changed. Or the big red spot, because I'm pretty sure that's where the comet crashed into Jupiter. So even that has changed after all these years. And yeah, some days it can be a bit overwhelming when you think, even, well, not looking directly at the sun, because that's a bad thing to do. But, the sunlight that reaches us is always 8 minutes old. That's how long it takes to get from the sun to the earth. And then, of course, when we're looking at the stars, you're looking at things that are millions and millions of years old. Yeah, it can get quite mind boggling sometimes for sure. But yeah, I think that was that was pretty much kind of what I wanted to cover today. And well, lately I've been trying to get my bookcases back in order. So instead of having piles of books that I'm waiting to pull the research and information together from, they're pretty much up on the shelves. So I should be having a new bookcase video in the next while. I've been working on my positivity board, so I'll be sharing that. And I've been taking pictures as I add different things and messages to that. And that's actually on the other side of this wall in my workroom. And so I have that board set up so that when I'm sitting and doing my work there, if it's, I'm kind of off track or having one of those meh kind of days, I can look up on my board and there's excellent reminders there. On the other side of the room, I'll be setting up a vision board, and I'll be doing a video about that because I bought a set called Career and Confidence, and that comes with words and pictures. And I'll be doing some of my own write ups with that. So I'll be sharing how to put that together. And then the other thing I wanted to kind of chat about, because this will be mostly the focus for December, is happy thoughts. So this one is 3-minute positivity workbook. Transform your life by changing your thoughts. And it's kind of handy because it goes through, there's different exercises and spaces to write. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to write in the journal or in the workbook itself, or if I'll just start another journal. because then I can always do it with blank pages and other things and do pictures. And the other nice thing is I can always do it a different day and not have my ideas swayed by what I had written before. Oh, wow. James Webb. Cool. Yeah, and see, I find archaeoastronomy interesting as well, being able to go back and figure out where the stars were. This book I'm very interested too. We've got 369 Laws of Attraction. It's a guided workbook, and this is inspired by the mathematical theories of Nikola Tesla. And Tesla's come up in so many different books that what did I just finish? I don't think it was Frankenstein, but there was one of the older books. Oh, H.G. Wells, the short stories, Tesla and Marconi, they came up in The Time Machine. And then here's Tesla, and I've had this book for a while. And then, of course, Tesla comes up in one of my Colin Wilson books, I think. He comes up, of course, in The Field and Frequency and so many books. But this is another one where you just kind of open it up and you can record again in the book, or you could do it in a separate journal. So I'm going to start working through these. Oh, here we go. Letting go of limiting beliefs. But I think these will be a good focus and something I will be starting very soon. And that might help just some of the blah from other stuff going on at the moment. This one's called The Inner Me, and it's a journal to connect with yourself and discover what brings you true happiness. Now, I have another journal set up to work through this one, and it has questions. So, do you prefer small towns or big cities? That's easy. I prefer small towns. I miss living out on a farm and being able to see the night sky. The city is just crazy for light pollution. Oh, here we go. Do you consider yourself honorable? Why or why not? And then at the bottom, there are quotes on the pages. So I'll definitely be working through those. And I love the tie-dye design on them. Actually, this is kind of cool with the Tesla one, the print of the flower and the points. Trying to think, Wheel of Life. Yeah, small town, small countryside. Mimi, are you in the UK as well? I know JP's in Wales. It's such a beautiful looking country. Yep, country boy. I would never have guessed JP. So took you for a big city guy. But yeah, so that's definitely some of the things that I'm looking at. Oh, there we go. Nice. Yeah, it's funny. I do remember my trip to England. I actually turned 17 in England. It was a lovely trip. We were in London and Bexhill on the Sea, and I definitely enjoyed Bexhill on the Sea. It was just a nice, small, little village on the coast, and it was wonderful. Although I did have a chuckle because basically I had a spring jacket. It was December, and I was oodles warm, but I'm used to winter in Canada, which is much colder. Oh, cool. Romania. You're next door from to where my family's from. My family's Hungarian. They came, well, my grandfather came to Canada in 1926, the year that my father was born. And my father met his father when he was 12 years old when my grandmother and the three kids came to Canada. That's easy. But yeah, so my family came to Canada from Hungary a number of years ago. In fact, Hungarian's my first language. Very small world. It never ceases to amaze me sometimes how small it is. And yeah, so it always used to make me laugh because when I worked as an educational assistant, most of the time I was in English classes and working with students on learning the alphabet and reading skills, literacy skills. And it would crack me up as they would complain about, oh, English is so hard and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, seriously? It's your first language. This is what you speak. You've always spoken this. I had to learn this sucker when I went to kindergarten. And they're like, what? I'm like, English isn't my first language. It's like, seriously, I know how hard it is. And I mean, my father, like, we spoke some English at home, but typically it was Hungarian, and I always spoke Hungarian with my grandparents. But don't get me started on Lee. Good heavens! Speaking of drama, rama, and stupid people, that Dingleberry just, and that's the other. Other than the top 5 channels and oh, you like Lee? You can't be serious, Mimi. I tried to, it was last week when we were talking about it. I tried to do a video on, Dracula and Carmilla, which I had just read. It was a vampire story before Dracula. And I also have a book called In Search of Dracula. That's from the 1970s. And it's about Vlad Tepes and his family and the history, the castle, not Bran, his actual castle and how it was built. And I'd made the video twice. And both times I just ended up on this huge rant about Mr. Green and Black videos who still creeps me out. Why do people have CCTV in their bedrooms? And more importantly, why are they uploading it? Like, it's just creepy, creepy, creepy. But, if he actually knew anything about Vlad or perhaps researched Vlad, it would occur to him that he's the last person that Vlad would be hanging around with. So, yeah, he probably shouldn't have any sharp objects around the house. It's like, yay. Well, Vlad, I mean, was real. So, and, the thing is with Vlad, he had no time, no use for thieves or call them grifters now, whatever you want to call them. Vlad certainly had his issues. It was a very violent time. Most of the rulers didn't live a whole long time as they were all kind of battling over the borders and everything. Yeah, I don't think he does either, Mimi. He's probably just, hey, I bet this sounds cool. And I don't go to his channel. I don't watch. I have no interest in him. But I am tempted to know who his wife thinks she is, because supposedly she's Vlad's wife. Well, Vlad had two of them. So is she the one who supposedly threw herself from up in the castle because she didn't want to be caught by the Turks? Or is she the second one who Vlad had a son with, you know? It's all these it's all these little details, but I'm sure if I put a comment on one of his videos asking, it would either be deleted or just ignored, or you'd have a bunch of other people all freaking out going, "Why would you ask him that?" Because it's a legitimate question. I don't know. It And I mean, with this latest bugaboo this past week with a group, like I say, I thought they were legit. I had followed them for a while. There was a bugaboo a while ago with another channel, and it just, no, yeah, that's not to say that just because someone publishes a book that they're legit either. I mean, there's certainly authors out there who just pull anything together and claim it's real, and off they go. I think that's what I find frustrating sometimes is, why people have these hidden agendas. And I don't know, maybe they're more motivated by money than honesty. They're just trying to make a quick buck, whether it's writing a book. Now you can self-publish, so it's not like you have to get past a publisher and have authenticity. It's just it's just such difficult times, and with all this different social media, um, again, sadly, people don't question, and they see it, they believe it, and I'm thinking, why? Like, did people get when did it become okay to stop questioning? And I don't mean as in don't trust anybody or don't trust anything. It goes back to common sense. Like when you're watching something or you've heard something or you've read something, ask yourself some questions, particularly about what's the motivation behind someone putting that information out there. Like, are they trying to be helpful? Are they trying to share valid information? Or are they just, trying to stir the pot and cause problems? Ah, dry throat. Yeah, I have no doubt he blocks them, like, seriously. And that's the other is even with some of the shenanigans on there, there's only so much that YouTube can do, and that's the other thing, like, I don't know. I mean, and to me, some of it, and I feel bad for them. I always feel bad for the people who get taken by some of these channels, but the other side of it is, like, you need to question before you open up your pocketbook and just willy-nilly, start getting memberships and buying merch. And what frustrates me is that some of these people just willy-nilly giving away the money can least afford it. Like, that's what I find. So, yeah, the fact they make enough. Yeah, I agree, Mimi. And that's the sad part, right? I mean, there's one of the bigger channels that I've heard bought a ranch with the money that they've made. Now it's in the US and property prices and things are different, but still, that's a chunk of coin. And granted, they had to work at it and build, and they've certainly got the views to make the money and whatnot. But that's the other part. And I mean, we have one group here which, yeah, um, they started their channel during COVID, and a year later they were sniveling and whining And the one was going on about, oh, I gave up my full time job and I want to do YouTube full time. And the other video they uploaded on the exact same day was a part one. And is this the last video? And I'm like, what a move. And they waited for weeks until the suckers, of course, kept sending money and everything else. And they pulled the same stunt a year later. And I'm thinking, seriously, you've been on YouTube 1 year and you think that it should be making enough money for two of you, two adult men, one who just got married, to pay your bills. And you're stupid enough to give up a full time paying job on a maybe. Did it occur to you to do some research? Because the folks who in a year can do YouTube full time are far and few between. Whether you're doing paranormal or other types of videos doesn't matter. To get that traction, to build up the subs and get all those viewing hours. And I'm thinking, if you couldn't be bothered to research that, like just ah, you're right, with the knowledge and the learning. And I mean, and this is what irritates me, that they call themselves investigators. And yet there's so many factors. And it came up in, well, I think in at least two, if not all three, of the paranormal books that I read. You need to know a little bit about a lot of things: physics, chemistry, you know, weather, different technology because of all the various equipment that you use. Like there's so many things that you history, there's so many things that it's not just I'm a paranormal investigator, I have a camera, go out, film, boom, call it a day. There's so much more to legitimately getting evidence and studying and learning about the paranormal and trying to come up with some type of answers and explanations, whether that's debunking. And in terms of that, like you need to have some knowledge, like, whether it's about the status of the building. And that's the other thing I find with some of this is, if you're in the building for the first time, you don't know the building, you don't know the nightly sounds or what it sounds like when it's settling, because everyone's home building sounds different, and so those thumps and bumps and whatever that these people are like losing their minds about and running out the door screaming is probably nothing but the building settling. Yeah, I agree, JP. They're definitely nasty. And I don't know how they sleep at night doing that to other people. Like it doesn't seem to bother them. I mean that money's coming from Exactly. I mean, when I was earning my degree in psychology, I was still working full time. I didn't just quit my job and go to university. So by the time I was done, I finished with my degree and I still had my work experience. So the two went together. Yeah, exactly, JP. But on the other hand, they would need that knowledge because, haven't they both moved? I thought that they've both switched houses, and lo and behold, the spookies came along with them. I don't know. I mean, I get that it takes all kinds to make the world, and you have people like that to show you what you don't want to be like. It just makes me sad how many other people get hurt and damaged because of them. And it's kind of a double edged sword, sadly, sometimes with the debunkers as well, because each time they do a video and call them out, they end up giving them free advertising. And it's sad because there's legit good channels out there that aren't getting that free advertising and promotion, while these big channels that are, making tons of money. And to me, it was shocking. Like that whole Sam and Colby Conjuring House had millions of views within days, and yet the Harrisville Harris now I'm gonna have a mind fart. The Harrisville Haunting, which is available on Prime, and that's done by Entity 7 Paranormal, is a legit documentary. And I mean, I think they've gotten some views, but sadly, I don't think that documentary is up to millions of views on Prime. I know they did win, I think Joe said 24 awards for their work. And it's that type of thing that needs to be promoted, not the ones who already have a ton of slack packing. They packed their ghosts up with them. They must have had a special container, like Ghostbusters, one of those little trap things. I don't know. I mean, in some ways, you kind of have to laugh at them, and in other ways, yeah, I'm really getting to the point where at the moment, I've kind of switched my viewing to sticking with a few food channels, found some cool astronomy channels, and we'll check in now and again with a few of the other paranormals, but might be time to just take might be time to take my own advice and take a little break from some of it, and just focus on a few other things and lose myself in some of my happy place journals and do some of those activities. Because I have my neat markers, and I love sparkly markers and smelly markers. So, and I can always get back to my coloring and making things. And yeah, nice thing is, and that's the nice thing with having such an eclectic interest, is there's a lot of different things I can get involved in and check out and scope out. Well, I'm not sure what had happened to the Wi-Fi before. Thankfully, it seems to be doing better so far. But I think I may actually call it a wrap for now. So I'm definitely thank you both for your time and for following me to the new stream after the other one shut down. Mimi, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy your time here at the channel and enjoy the content. JP, as always, it was wonderful connecting. Oh, no doubt, Mimi. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed. Well, I don't know about learn from me. I just kind of share my ideas, and I hope people research and look into other things, because I'm no paranormal expert, that's for sure. Yeah, eclectic and quirky, that's definitely me. Well, thank you so much for your time. I hope you both have a wonderful weekend. And I think we'll give this a whirl again next Friday. And fingers crossed the Wi Fi doesn't decide to bleep out on us. So take care. Have an amazing weekend. And thank you so much.